Hi, this is a recent books haul, shall we say. I don't usually film hauls even when I do my like an afternoon or Waterstones videos. The books that I highlight tend not to be the ones that I buy, but there are enough non-fiction in this pile that I think I can justify it to myself. So the first two books are 24 Hours in Ancient China and 24 Hours in Ancient Egypt. I do follow some Egyptologists and they have recommended books, and I don't remember if this is one of them. A part of why I'm a little bit concerned is that this one at least specifies that it's the Han Dynasty, and this one is just ancient Egypt, you know? But it is a very well read series, and so I am hoping that it's going to be good. Also, this one mentions tomb robbers on its blurb, and if you know anything about my writing, you know that is really exciting. I was a little bit trepidatious about this one, Chinese Love Poetry, edited by Jane Portal, because it is from the British Museum Press. And that is because last year there was a furore over an exhibition called China the Hidden Century, and I don't know who the two who put the exhibition on were, but they took poetry translations from various translators, including Yilin Wang, and did not credit them, nor did they pay them. And when this was called out, they took down the translations, which I think by itself is like hiding the hidden century. But I think they also took down the original Chinese poetry as well. It was a mess. That was last year, however, and while I don't trust those two, I thought maybe as an institution it has moved forward a little. And I also, poetry is something that I would like to know more about, and this is quite accessible at $9.99, you know, as opposed to some academic books. We're not going to talk about that, that is an entirely different rant. However, I do think this was published before that. Unfortunately, it says translations reprinted by permission of the copyright holders where available, which does not sit well with me, but it's done now. And also there was calligraphy contributed to the book by Chulele. This likely, it is a very pretty book. Very complicated for me. We also visited Guanghua bookshops, which I will link down below, and I got this, which is a very exciting kind of murder mystery, historical murder mystery set in the Ming Dynasty. It is by Liu Heping. Apologies, I'm not saying it correctly with the tones because I don't know what they are, and I think it was translated by Wen Huang. This is also published by Sinoist Press, which is a press that I've been interested in for a while. It has been adapted, I think it said, in 2007, so I'm very intrigued by that. I think it is a series, and if it's that popular to get an adaptation, it's hopefully very good. The premise of this one is that the emperor is kind of hermiting himself away, more interested in like Taoist magics, and his officials are getting more ambitious and more greedy, and there is a clan whose grip is tightening over the empire. Balance needs to be restored, and this clerk is going to hopefully, perhaps, rise to the challenge, and it sounds really interesting. And then we have it's a companion to The Story of the Stone, a chapter by chapter guide. This is one of, I think, the 4 classics of Chinese literature. It is a big deal. This is by Susan Chan Egan and Pai Xin Young. yeah, it's basically just a study guide. I haven't read the book. I just thought I would get this in preparation to eventually read it. Um, so this was stamped at the back, 15.99. It is £30. I had I was already at the checkout at that point. It was as good as done. Um, but yeah, when I talked about like the prices of academic books, this is what I mean. Another academic book, also £30, is In the Land of Tigers and Snakes: Living with Animals in Medieval Chinese Religions by Hua Yu Chen. Honestly, this is just so exciting. It does, it is medieval Chinese religions. I think the focus is on Buddhism and the way that changed when introduced to and interacting with Chinese culture of the time. Yeah, so it discusses animals and religion and politics and communities, and I think it just sounds fascinating. I feel like I should mention that the last two books were from Columbia University Press, because we're done with Booksman Bookshop now, and this is also from Columbia University Press. It is The Book of Swindles by Jiang Yin Yu and translated by Christopher Ray and Bruce Rusk. Now, this does a thing that really annoys me. You can see it in like poetry collections as well, where it's a selection from the original book, and it's like, you can why should you not have done the whole thing? But okay, this I saw someone posting about this on Tumblr. Actually, that's where this problem started. It is just basically a manual for self-protection, with like commentary by the author and I think a moral lesson at the end. But I mean, come on, the titles. What was it? Yes, so the one on Tumblr that I saw discussed, I think, was a Buddhist monk identifies a cow as his mother. Uh, and then there are other just flashy clothing incites larceny. you know, swindling the salt commissioner while disguised as Taoists. It just sounds really fun. So this one is Chinese Fairy Tale Feasts, a literary cookbook. This is a children's book. The stories are by Paul Yee, and they are inspired by or adapted from, and some are original, from myths and folk tales and all that. Illustrations by Shirley Wang, recipes by Judy Chan, and a foreword by Jane Yolen. And like I said, it's a children's book. But it is also a cookbook, which I am very excited about because I can be a good cook, but I don't do it very often, and I really need to kind of start cooking again. And I feel like this is a good place for me to start, because if a child can do it, hopefully I can also do it. So some of the recipes that are included in this are for congee, roasted sweet potatoes, crisp tofu, and stir-fried bok choy, scallion pancakes, steamed fish with black bean sauce. It just sounds really nice. And last but certainly not least, we have the CRPG book, put together by Felipe Pepe. It is over 600 pages and is very heavy. Yeah, so it's a guide and a history of computer role-playing games. This is the expanded edition, so I think it goes up to 2019, 2020-ish. And I think it starts in the 80s. But I also really like this one because it is not just like the Anglophone world. Obviously Japanese games you'd be remiss not to include them even in like purely Anglophone gaming circles, but it talks about like Korean computer role-playing games and Chinese computer role-playing games. and especially touches on like Xianjian and Gujian. No, I'm pronouncing that wrong. Gujian. What was I saying? Anyway, long way of saying games are fascinating and I'm really interested in the history. I also really like the YouTube channel People Make Games because that talks, of course, it's video game journalism and also not just video game journalism. Uh, there, uh, there was a really, I really like their coverage of. I'm going to pronounce this. I'm going to butcher this. Shubensha, which is like a Chinese role playing game, and I'm really mad that it's so hard to get games in English in it. And also, I think Daniel Peterson did a really interesting video for Romancing the Gothic about like hauntings in video games. I don't know. It talked about Castlevania. I will link it down below. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that has been helpful to you if you're interested in any of these subjects. I am thinking of perhaps trying to do a live stream on the 14th of March, kind of like a read with me, but for studying. I mentioned tombs, and so tombs, Chinese tombs, is something that I really want to learn about and get into more. And I am not good without like external motivation and deadlines, and that is just kind of a way of imposing it on myself. So let me know if you'd be interested in that. I don't know if I'm going to go through with it, but I probably. Thank you for watching. Bye.